Whether you're a parent navigating myofunctional disorders or simply curious about optimizing your family's overall health, the Myohacker Podcast is your guide. Hi, I'm Karindy Ong, a speech-language pathologist, myofunctional therapist, and a mom on a mission to bring holistic health to you and your family. Together, we'll explore whole-body connections and integrative solutions. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review to help other families discover this important information. Visit myohackerslp.com for free resources and guides. Quick disclaimer. The content shared in this podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the podcast or its affiliates. This podcast does not provide medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a professional regarding your circumstances. By listening, you agree that the host and podcast are not responsible for any actions you may take based on the information provided. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, everyone, to the Myohacker Podcast. With us today is an incredible provider that I refer to regularly, collaborate with regularly, and just love as a human being. This is Dr. Morgan Harris. She is a diaphragm whisperer. She is a craniopathy provider, a chiropractor, but I feel like that's just like doesn't even cover the sphere of amazing things that she does. She is one of the original people that taught me about fascia and just how connective tissue is so integral to movement, to trauma. Again, it's just incredible to work with her. It has been my privilege. She has taught me so much about the cranium and the body. And we are going to talk today about her course, Energetic Anatomy, that is out, that I have taken. That's incredible. And we're going to dive into it. And I hope you guys can take this course as well. It was really pivotal to me during kind of a hard time. So before we jump into the course, though, Dr. Morgan, could you just give a quick bio about yourself and some of your training? Quick, because you have so much training, but some of your training. I think it's cool to hear that you had like sports medicine initially, and then you went to babies.
Yeah, I'm a chiropractor by formal training, have my doctorate in chiropractic. I utilize that regularly. I have also expanded into craniosacral therapy, expanded that chiropractic into bringing in energetics. So I am a Reiki master as well. And yeah, it's never easy to put me into a box, but yeah, chiropractor, Reiki master, craniosacral therapist, but really just love to say like I'm a teacher. That's, really like the definition of doctor is teacher. And so I just like to educate people, my patients, anybody that'll listen on really cool stuff. And I love to learn really cool stuff and then share it. So, and then I got into all of this because I had a background in sports medicine and in chiropractic school started working with athletes and working on, figuring out how adjustments in particular could help athletes. And then we started finding that a lot of these things were related to neck positioning and neck, the degree of your cervical curve, if you will. And so I'm a Y kid, why? And so I was like, well, okay, if the cervical curve is so important to a lot of these things, then what helps us get a cervical curve? And we actually get that in the first 2 months of life after we're born. We build it. So we don't have a natural curve in our neck when we're born. We have to do that from tummy time, as you know, and from learning to hold your head up, basically. You build that curve. And so I was like, okay, well, if this is really important and this is where you learn it, then we need to be working with people before that. Right?
Yes.
We're trying to get to root causes of things. So I was like, well, I guess I need to be working with babies in their first 2 months of life. And then, once you go down that road, you're like, okay, well, why wouldn't they have a normal cervical curve? Our bodies are so important, so amazing. They're capable of taking care of us. So what would prevent you from just naturally developing that cervical curve? And got into the birth process. So that's how I got into pregnancy and pediatrics. And that's what my chiropractic specialty is in. And and then that led to one of my incredible teachers that I trained through my cranial psychotherapy with, who taught me all about fascia,
Yeah.
and how all of that helps get us to an optimal birth, get us to optimal growth patterns, optimal milestone development. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Amazing. And I will just say, guys, it's so cool to work with Dr. Morgan because she is able to really zone in and just or zoom in and see that okay, this is what this baby needs, or this adult. She can see just the patterns that this is likely what happened in infancy. And then she's able to kind of blow it out and see what happens as we get older, more, some of that sports medicine kind of perspective, which is just such a thorough understanding of growth and development. So I really appreciate that. As I mentioned, I took her course, Energetic Anatomy, in the spring. And this course, I was so excited that it was going to come out because I've been like, you need to be teaching people, please, please, please. We need more of this. We need more of you. And during this time that I took the course, I was taking care of, I have 2 aunts that I'm the POA, or power of attorney, for, and it was pretty chaotic. We were in and out of the hospital a lot, ER, sniffs, all of that. I was feeling very, very drained. It was a lot, a lot of just logistics and everything. And it was perfect timing for me to take this course. For one thing, the knowledge was really, it was amazing for me to put together pieces of how I was feeling and how it was affecting just organ function and how I was moving. Even things like we talk about in the course, like going to the bathroom, especially as women, we do tend to hold. We're like, I can put it off until later. And it made me just more conscious of, I'm in the hospital, I'm in the ER and all these things. And in my head, I was like, I just want to hold. But I was like, no, I do need to take care of my body. It's telling me this need. And so things like that, that's just a practical example of some of the topics discussed in the course that we'll talk about a little bit more. But I just want to share personally that it was like a breath of fresh air, and it helped me to tune in, because it's very easy when we're just pouring out into others and feeling overwhelmed to just not dissociate. Well, maybe dissociate, but kind of go okay, I just have to put walls up. And that's where we kind of harden and get really locked into unhealthy patterns, and things can break down. Actually, this is probably what's your thought on that?
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing is our bodies are super powerful, and they are really working to help us. They're working to keep us moving, to keep us functioning. Your body's not trying to break down. Your body is trying to thrive and heal along the way. And so, so we start out the course talking a lot about that, really just empowering you to your body. And so we do talk about body signals, in the bathroom thing is always super fascinating, because that's a simple way that your body's talking to you, right? It's a simple way to say, pay attention here. This is what we need right now. We need to release our bladder.
Yeah.
And though our brains are super powerful, and as we all know, we can override some of those signals, and our body's just learning from those overrides over time. And so if you continue to send that signal back, right, it's all an open loop, right? And so if your brain's or your body's telling you, I need to go to the bathroom, and you send back to your body, I can't go right now, or I'm not going right now, and you do that over and over, then the body correlates that signal with no, or I'm not,
Right.
or not right now, or hold it. And so we have to kind of reprogram, right? And break that system down. And so, so we just take that signal and give it what it needs and what it's telling you, go to the bathroom, right? And so quickly the body then learns okay, it's safe for me to send this signal now, because I will be responded to, right?
Right.
And because what ends up happening over time is that when we tell that signal, no, the body's okay, well, that signal's not working, so let me try a different signal. Okay. And so then maybe it, in the case of having to go to the bathroom, then maybe it sends a full feeling, or a bloat feeling in your body of we are just at max capacity and we need you to like release. And so it can vary for people of like what the next signal is, because basically the body's just going to try to find any pathway to say, pay attention, right? And so then eventually that leads to something like a symptom, right? Something that we like correlate as like, oh, this is bad or this isn't good. And it's like, well, it is good because the body just continued to talk to you, right? Like
Yes.
we don't want it
Yes.
to stop talking completely. And so,
Yeah.
so we do a little bit of reprogramming to just get you back into your body that you have like separated from to deal with whatever you needed to deal with. But there is a way to deal with those things and stay in your body and more efficient way, right? Because that original signal is the easiest, best way to make what happen needs to happen.
So that's where, I mean, it's so clear you work a lot on providers. Like you are a provider, but also you have a lot of providers who are your clients. And I just want to know, what was it that sort of spoke to you that I need to make this accessible to people at a wider level? Like, what was that journey for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was seeing how all of these people are taking care of others and they're really good at taking care of others. And they've trained for it, they've educated for it, and I need them taking care of others, right?
Yeah.
They need to, we need people that do what they do. They can't be on the sidelines for a month. They can't be, taken out with an infection for a month, right? Because then that's like a big hole in our like community space that has to, be filled somewhere. And so, it's semi-selfish, I guess, of like, I need you doing what you do. So
Right.
I need you to be taken care of in order to do that. And just empowering that, like, they don't need someone else either, right? Like everybody is able to like connect with themselves and like provide what they need if they know what those connections are, right? A lot of this was like, it's called an energetic anatomy because we do go through anatomy.
Yes.
And so it started with just people literally not knowing what is in their body. We have all these things around us, right? Like we have this art on the wall, we have things that we get and acquire and all of that. But this body is like what you're brought into, and you don't even know what it does. You don't, like there's not a lot of understanding and education around just like what this thing does, which is actually the only thing you own, right? Like,
Right.
that's the only thing that's 100% yours.
Yes.
And so yeah, we do. We go into actual like anatomy things, and then like, okay, cool. So you have a liver. What does it do for you? Because I feel like if you know you have it and you know what it does,
Let's
then
talk about that. Do like a mini lesson of what, just like, okay, we talked about the liver in the course. Let's talk about that right now so people kind of get a taste of what does that look like.
Yeah. So part of this was I was talking to somebody who was a yoga instructor, so has even a little more understanding of the body and things like that. And I was working with them, and I was like, yeah, well, it seems like things you're talking about are very like liver related and things like that. And they're like, yeah. My liver has been hurting. And then they like point to, this like weird part of their body. And I was like, that's not where your liver is, And so, I mean, that's okay. But yeah, if we have all these like body signals and things like that, like you want to know what is there signaling that. And so the liver, so everybody knows by the end of this podcast, is located on the right side of your body. If you just take your hands and follow, so you're not in the center of your body, you're just off to the side, but follow your rib cage down right where it ends, and you can almost like tuck your fingers under on that right side. That's where your liver is. Like it's sitting right there. And the purpose of it sitting there is because it needs to be, it's an organ and a gland. So it's not a muscle. And so it needs muscle around it to like get activation. So it's sitting right under your diaphragm. So every single breath you take, that muscle of your diaphragm is able to like pump your liver. And so the liver's sitting right there on that right side. And its purpose, again, has multi-purpose that we dive into. But the main thing is, as like a gland, is that it produces bile. And bile is what other parts of your body use to break down all of your food. So you're taking in all these nutrients, but if you don't have the enzymes there to use them, right, then you're not fully maximizing that function. So the liver makes the bile, and then it also filters all of our things. So most people know that, like, that it's a good filter system. So it's taking out all the toxins in your body, whether that is toxic food, toxic, medication, toxic alcohol, all that. It's taking everything that you've put in and it's filtering it through and taking those things out. So your blood is clear again. And that clearing of the blood then needs a place to release the toxins. But if it's not working great, right, it'll hold on to them to protect the rest of your body, because your body, it really is working for you. But that liver sitting right there is getting a lot of activation from every breath. So even through the night, it's working for you and it's just filtering and detoxifying you. But it can get stuck and stagnant, especially a lot of times what we find when we start paying attention to our body signals is that maybe we're like holding our breath. So we're not getting that in and out. And when we're holding that breath, then that liver also isn't getting its nice pumping action. And so, the thing about that is, so we get microscopic, kind of like you said about how I work with patients. We get microscopic like that. What does it do? Where is it? What is its little thing? But then we open that up into how that affects the rest of your body. Yes. So your stomach can't work as well if it doesn't have the bile, right? Your gallbladder has no purpose, not really, but has no purpose if it's not holding bile that the liver makes, right? Your blood isn't clear if the liver can't filter it. It's just like built up with toxins. So all those things we go into as well. So I broke this class down into, right, because you have to break it down to expand it out. It's a big, beautiful body. So I broke this class down into what was also important to me to help people understand, which is the energy of our body as well. So I broke it into like energy centers. And so in that, the liver lives in your center of your body that is about your self-expression. It is about your self-confidence. It is about how you want to show up in the world. And so that's sluggish and backed up and toxic because it's not detoxing, right? And that also represents kind of how you're showing up and how you're expressing in your life. And people don't actually want to be expressed that way, right? Like they don't want to be the toxic friend or people, they don't want to be like with no confidence, right? Like, and so especially practitioners, right? They definitely want to show up with that like practitioner authority and things like that. And so all of that, right? How you show up can come from like this one area in your body, this liver, not functioning great, because it is related to that energy center of your self-expression, self-confidence.
So I know people listening are usually start out listening because they're interested in airway things. They might be like, what does the liver have to do with airway things? It does. Okay. Actually, could you do a little breakdown of how it can impact? If not, I'll go off because
Well, I mean, we talked about where it's sitting, right? So it's sitting right under your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is the muscle that is contracting and relaxing with every breath that you take. And so, especially in the night when your body systems work really, really well to heal and repair things of the day and things like that, that body system needs that breath happening throughout the night as well. So that liver's getting a really gentle, right? Because your breath slows at night, but it's getting really gentle pumping happening from that diaphragm and really soothing. But if you, again, aren't breathing during the night, if your airway is closed or if it's in that rapid pump action, then it's not like, oh yeah, it's pumping fast, so it'll detox faster. No, you're gonna miss some things, right? Like,
right.
you're gonna miss some toxins. Those are gonna keep circulating because you're just blowing through it. So, yeah. But I'd love to hear your Airway take on like how the liver plays a part in that.
Things. I think of, sometimes it gets enlarged. Like people will have, and that can offset just even your positioning, how you're standing, like you said, how you're sleeping. Also, I think of the toxin overload. I talk about toxins in kids a lot. Obviously, adults, we have it too. But let's say a child has tonsils and adenoids that are enlarged and they're having difficulty with breathing. Like this tells us already their body's kind of maxed out as far as filtering and cleaning things. The lymphatics are really on board. If the liver is working just more efficiently and is able to really clean up the blood, this is going to help our lymphatics not have to work quite so hard. Like it's all related, and we could go off on more things too.
Exactly. But, yeah, if that liver's able to do that, then the lymph is really supposed to be used for like localized areas, right? So something happens, even just like you scrape your knee in that, right? There's a large lymph area right behind your knee, right? So like as a kid, you scrape your knee, you have those cells really close to that area so they can go and clean it out and repair it and then mend it back to new. All those things are right there. Well, that's what your lymph is for. That's why those things are holding there. The lymph is not to filter out, some food toxin that you put in, right? I don't know what's like a major toxin you guys talk about a lot.
I mean, well, glyphosate or
I was going to say glyphosate,
food coloring and all.
Yeah. So let's just say I like the food coloring one. So let's say in the food coloring, right? That lymph in your knee should be ready and able to take care of anything, bumps, scrapes, anything from your foot to your shin to your knee. But if it's functioning to clear out, from your blood and systems, all this excess food coloring that your body has nowhere to put, it has nothing to do. So it has to like get it out. Then when you get a bump, scrape, all those things, half that process is already being utilized somewhere else, And so then the body has to decide what's the priority, and it's going to prioritize fixing that area because that's what those cells were designed to do, was focus on that area, right? Then you get backed up with the food coloring again. And so the liver should be doing all of that. But if it's not doing if it's already bogged down, loaded down, because it doesn't get to pump things through, then the systems will back up. And so then they're going to back up into the lymph and all of that. And so this is how like your body is all connected, right? Like we want all of these systems online, but we also want to ensure that those expression of those symptoms is in line too, because what we see, right, when the liver backs up, what we see, like how the body expresses that, I mentioned a patient that had they were like, oh, my liver's hurting, right? The liver's not going to hurt right away.
Right.
But what you will see, especially in your kid, is excessive anger outbursts, right? Your kid's not a bad kid because they're mad. They're just loaded down. That liver's loaded down. And because anger is the emotion that's stored in the liver or expressed through the liver. And so when that system is off course or it's overloaded, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see all of these explosions and kind of like a switch of it, right? Like all of a sudden everything's fine. And then the liver's like, okay, we're not fine, right? We just, added another blue icing cupcake, right?
Yeah.
Even if it is gluten-free and dairy-free and like whatever other toxins they like are all that you've minimized, right? But you added that blue in there, and the liver's like, well, we're overloaded. So then we get like the outbursts or things like that. And so it just all is connected, but the signals are there if you know what to look for.
So I know someone listening right now is like, wait, what? Anger in the liver? So let's talk about that for a second. It's not like you've just made up and assigned emotions to organs. Talk about some of that, about that this is pretty ancient,
Yeah. So, I mean, you could Google what emotion is in my liver, right? And
Mhm.
you're gonna get anger. It's gonna pop up on the little thing and say,
Yeah, yeah.
according to this, it's anger. So it's well accepted. A lot of it stems from Chinese medicine, right? Because especially like the liver in
Mhm.
Chinese medicine has its own meridian, its own
Mhm.
little pathway that it works through your body. And so all of these things are again, some from Chinese medicine, some from more of that like energy center work. So
Which would be
uh,
like Ayurvedic?
yeah, Ayurvedic,
Okay.
even a little bit of like yogic
Mhm.
with the like, if you want to call them like chakra systems, right? So
Mhm.
those breakdown of which again, that liver would be living in the solar plexus chakra. And so, yeah, so it's these energy centers have their own expression, right? So we talked about self confidence, your expression of what, like your inner self, which I find to be the most pure and like clear around that like 4 to 7 year old age for this particular one for self-expression is coming online around that time. That's like the little kid that wears whatever they want. They have no filter on what they're saying. Yeah, they just keep going. So if a kid's totally unencumbered, if they're clear and they're getting grounded and they're getting nourishment and they're getting love, right? They're going to keep that expression and be fully open and fully engaged in what they're doing.
Okay, I wanted us to talk about the structure of the course and then do some rapid fires about some of the topics covered. So, you initially start the course with the energetic anatomy portal. Let's talk about that, and then we'll dive into the specific lessons.
Yeah, so we're coming into it with just no matter where you are. If you've never heard the word chakra before, if you've never, again, don't know where your liver is, or maybe you didn't know you had a liver. So we start wherever
Mhm.
you are, and that's what that first week is just getting you acquainted with your body. And so we just start there, baseline for everybody to have an understanding, and also just reassure that your body is yours and it's working really hard to help you. It's not against you. You don't have to be against it. It's not sending signals to disrupt your life, right? It's sending signals to keep you going, to keep you alive, to keep you doing what you love. And so that's where we start. Everybody baseline. And then again, because you have to break it down somehow, I chose to break it down into these different energy centers. And so then each week we pick an energy center and I go over the anatomy in that center. So that is the anatomy and physiology, what's there and what it does, what emotions are related there, if there are any. So not everything has an emotion, but we go over that, the emotions, and then we integrate that. And so we use that area to support. We go over multiple activities for each area because one might be the exact thing you need and one might be something that somebody else needs in that
Wait, let's
particular
talk about the
area. So
activities real quick. So,
yeah.
there are activity. We're not just passively listening in this course. Like, you are doing exercises, or as you said, activities to, would you say it's to stimulate the energy, to release it?
So sometimes it's to bring it up, especially in centers that are like really low or that we kind of shut down in general. And then sometimes it's to calm things down. And so because we spend too much energy there and so the other areas are kind of out of balance. Like, I mean, it's just simple, even, we're talking about the root, right? So we're talking about your root, how you root, like meaning how you connect here to this earth, right? So something simple can just be putting your feet on the ground, right? Which I know you talk about a lot, your bare feet on the ground. But one of the things that we went through, if you remember, because I have patients who are like, yeah, I walk around barefoot and they are so not grounded, right? They're so up in the clouds. And it's like, okay, well, that's not working for you. And so we go into a different
Yeah.
way. And another way you can do that is just to put your hands in the ground or on the ground. And people really, really, really respond to that, who are just like, not, their feet, for whatever reason, they can't get there, but they can get their hands in a bowl of flour before they're going to cook, or something where their hands are buried underneath, or just hands flat on the earth. But that's where they're the first time that they're like, oh, this is what rooting is. This is what grounded feels like. And so, yeah, we just go through different ways to support that area.
Which I love that, because I think so many people listening to this podcast are doing those things. They're intentionally moving their bodies outside, but they're like, am I crazy? Why is this not helping me? Why isn't this doing it? And sometimes we need different pathways to be able to access that. And so you actually give practical ways we can change things. If what should work, I say should, but if what we would expect to work isn't working, and that's so freeing, and you don't feel gaslit. Like, you're not like, oh, I'm broken. It's like, okay, I just needed a different way.
Exactly. And it's like, that is still grounding. That is still rootedness, right? And eventually you can take that feeling from your hands and you can feel it in like sitting on the earth, right? And then eventually you have worked really hard to, listen to your signals, and you go to the bathroom when you need to go to the bathroom. Like, you acknowledge that your body is sending these signals. Even like energetically, right? Like, if you haven't taken a step forward energetically in 20 years, right? Then you have disconnected from your feet. Your feet have tried to move you somewhere and you have not taken that step to move, right? You're disconnected from it. So we have to go to somewhere that you are still connected, whether that is sitting on the ground, right? Whether that is your hands on the ground. And for practitioners, the hands really do make a difference, because most of them are using their hands in their practice. So they feel connected there. But as you recognize, like, oh, my body has tried to help me take a step forward, whether that's in your career or in your family or whatever, they've helped you. It's been trying to signal that, and you recognize that signal. And now you can be like, oh, that is a step that I want to take forward, right? So you take that step forward, and then all of a sudden you can stand in the grass and you're like the largest oak tree with the deepest roots. And you're like, this is what rooting is. Wow. This is what they're talking about when they say they feel grounded. This is what, I was feeling in my hands when I was grounding. Now I can feel it in my feet. And that means that then it's going through your whole body, and you're not bypassing how, it was created to be. Right. Which is from your feet up.
So people listening I know people are like, I want to sign up. Tell me a little bit more. Like, how long is the course? How do they participate? Is it online? Do they have access to recordings? Tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it is weekly. It's online. You'll get a link. We'll be live. I'll be there. It's not pre-recorded. I'll be there with you, working through these activities with you. And it's about 2 hours. So once a week, we're going to do Thursday nights at 7 Central. So for that 2-hour block, you can put it in your schedule. It's on your calendar. That's your time. And life happens, right? And so you will get the recording after, and be able to work through that on your own pace. And then we'll have kind of a group interaction to where you can fill in questions or things that came up throughout the week, things like that as well. So you will have access to the other people in the group if you want.
You'll want it, guys. The people in this course that take this course that are interested, you're going to be like, oh yeah, we're friends.
Yeah. So we're going to have a little interactive part of that. You'll have your recording and things, and you will have like things to just be paying attention to recognizing easy ways to integrate these over the week, and then be ready to shift into the next week. So it's 8 weeks.
And when does it start? When does this cohort start?
This one's starting on Thursday, July 17th. We'll have this group going. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be, each group is different, right? Because it's made up of different people. And so, so I'm really excited for the group that's creating right now. And
we had talked before recording about how, while this course was designed for providers, as Dr. Morgan and I were talking, like, if you are pouring into someone, it applies to you. If you are pouring yourself out to give and to help, you need to be utilizing the strategies here, the awareness here. So do reach out to Dr. Morgan, and it might be a good fit for you right now, even though you're like, I don't have letters after my name, or they don't apply to being a provider. Like, it doesn't disqualify you from this course. So do reach out to her. And what is the best way for people to connect with you and contact you?
Yeah, so my website is super easy, Dr. Morgan Harris, so drmorganharris.com. And there's like a connect portion on there. At the top, it says energetic anatomy. So that's where you can read more about it. Questions, frequently asked questions, things like that. And that's also where you would click to sign up. So yeah, drmorganharris.com, connect with me there, and yeah, just reach out and we can chat. We can get on a call. I also am this course is very intentional for me. It's very, close to me. And so I don't want your energy wasted ever, anybody's energy wasted. And so if it's not right or it's not the right time, and you're not sure, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to say actually come back to me, in this case or things like that. Because the thing is you were going through some things when you took the course, but you didn't come into those things, right? Like come into the course with those heavy into those things. And so, if you're right in the thick of all these things and right in it, this might not be the right time. We can discuss that too. So definitely reach out and we will make sure it's right for you.
So what would be one thing, like something about energetic anatomy that you wish every provider knew that most don't, just so people know that's something I should take away from this conversation today?
That your body is expressing energetically as well, right? So there's a physical component, right? There's a chemical component happening in each one of these areas. So physically, it's doing a certain action. Chemically, your body's utilizing things it produces in that area. But there's an energy there too. There's an emotion. There is an expression outside from the physical and chemical, which I know from all of your fascia talk and things like that, of how it's not just physical, it's not just chemical. There's an emotion there as well, an energy outside of those things. So I just think about the practitioners that are hearing this for the first time, right? They have felt it. They know it. You've experienced it. You've seen it in your patients when you're working in a certain area, and then boom, there's a big emotion shift or just change in. They go from happy to sad or sad to excited and all of that. And so it, you've seen it. You might not know what to call it, or you might not use the chakra system or things like that. And this class isn't about that. It's just about seeing those things show up.
And I think,
and how your body's expressing.
And if you're listening, you're like, well, what I do is primitive reflexes or CFT or sensory processing. And it's like a foundational undergirding to all that, because there is energy in our fascia and, in the activation of those primitive reflexes and all of that. So it's not in place of, it's very beautifully in a synergistic knowledge base to develop. So it's wonderful.
And it's about you feeling it, recognizing it in you, and then you can, this isn't a way to teach you how to do what you're doing, with your patients or clients. This is a way to recognize it in you, and then you'll recognize it in them, and the support for that will naturally come.
I would also say anyone who's listening and has had amazing moments with patients that you're almost I don't know what to do with that. This can give context and can explain some things. So if you feel a little bit like a black sheep and you're like, I don't know, it's amazing, but I feel like I need something, this really might be that component that you're needing and missing right now. And you're going to be like, makes sense. And I'm very excited to share that Dr. Morgan has offered to create a code for Myohacker podcast listeners. So use the code Myohacker for $100 off signing up for her amazing course, Energetic Anatomy. All right. I can't wait for you guys to take it and let me know what you think. I want you guys to go follow Dr. Morgan Harris on Instagram. She's there. And then, she's amazing. And then her website, drmorganharris.com, and sign up, guys. If you are listening, you're like, this isn't the time, subscribe to her emails. That way you can hear when the next cohort comes out and be ready. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan, for being here today. It's been so fun. So good. All right. You have an amazing day. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Myohacker Podcast. Remember, small changes can make big impacts on our overall health and well-being. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. This way, more families will learn about this important information and we can make a bigger impact. Head on over to myohackerslp.com for in-depth resources and guides. You can also join me on Instagram at myohackerslp for bonus content and demos. And if you have questions or topic suggestions for future episodes, send me a message. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, let's biohack myofunctional health as myohackers who change the world through intentional action and connection and breathing. Quick disclaimer reminder, the content shared in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only.